it's Kelly here, and I am back with another video. Today's video is featuring some products from Trinity Stamps. I am using the Garden Flowers die set and then the squishy bunny shaped card. This project is a little bit different than what you would normally see on my channel. We are still making a card, but we are doing it a smidge differently because we're going to be using felt. These are actually my children's Easter cards that I made for them, and so they are going to be felt shaped Easter cards. They don't have to be Easter. You could just do a bunny. You could turn these into a peep. They would be adorable. So also these are like this, we're going to use this one die for all of the things, but it is made to be the base of the card. So they're hinged together. So I'm going to cut two of these, and then these, the flower dies is what I'm going to cut out of all of my felt. Look, I'm used to working with paper, okay? So originally I was like, let me see if my low-tack tape will hold them in place. They don't. By the way, it doesn't really have anything to stick to when it comes to when it comes to the felt. So unless you use a lot of tape, which later on I will, just because I needed to hold them in place specifically to get like one side of the bunny. But I mean, for the most part, I was just able to lay them on top and they stayed. They didn't move around. I didn't have any issues. So my original game plan was to do flocking. That's what, when I saw the die from Trinity, I was like, this could be like a giant peep and that would be adorable and I would want it to be fuzzy. And so my original game plan was to do flocking, but I didn't have any. So I ordered some, but while I was waiting for it to get here, it was like taking too long. I was like, let me just see what else I have. You know what I'm saying? So here, this is the second one that I am, no, this is still the first one. But here's the thing. Because it's so large, it's like an A2 size card, it does go pretty much edge to edge. And so I was finding that if I didn't have my my plates lined up exactly, I wasn't cutting out the entire die. So what I found was if I ran it through once and then I didn't move anything, and then the next time I shifted it like up a little bit and then ran it through again, just because like there is that little bit of wiggle room for the plates, then I was able to get a pretty clean cut. And I had to cut this out a bunch of times. So here is where I'm going to like try to hold it in place. I'm going to do two bunnies. One is going to be a dark brown bunny and one is going to be this lighter like khaki colored bunny. But I only need one side of it. So I'm holding it in place while I trim around it with my scissors. There is no need for me to like try to send the felt through in its entirety. It's much easier and honestly more time efficient to trim it out because then I can cut multiple things at a time, except for these bunnies. Like these bunnies do have to be cut by themselves because that other portion of the die is still there. Like I can't get rid of that just because I only need one part of the felt. So here I did, like, so you can see I'm putting down quite a bit of tape, and this is because I only have like just enough to cut out this side of the bunny. And so I'm going to turn it. And the reason that I'm cutting them horizontal instead of vertical is because I was worried about the felt kind of stretching out, like as it's pushed through, and then it would not line up correctly. I do still think I had a little bit of stretching, just based on like how they lined up. It could be user error. I'm not going to lie. It's not like I'm making a ton of it's not like I'm making a ton of felt cards. But I do feel like it did stretch out a little bit. And then here, like it didn't cut 100%. And rather than shift it up, I opted because it was like already pressed in there. So I could see very easily where to cut. And it wasn't difficult. So I just went in with my scissors and just trimmed off like the rest of that ear, following like the part that it was pressed in. And I just took my time to make sure that everything was lined up, and that was way easier than trying to run it through again and worrying about like the felt stretching and stuff. So that is like the other part of the hinge where there was just a little bit of extra. You don't have to cut it off if you're not 100% confident in where to cut. You can wait until you adhere it and then trim it off. That would also be fine. So then here is the chocolate one, the dark, the dark chocolate one. And so then I have all of these little pieces parts. Oh, I forgot. I did use the Easter basket as well. That is where the bow came from and some of the flowers. That's not part of the original 2 sets. I didn't realize I was going to want to use the bow until after the fact. So I forgot to show it, but I will link it below. Everything's from Trinity. I find that I use their stuff a lot when I'm making cards for my kids. I mean, I like their stuff anyway, but I just find that like they're more kind of playful in their designs, and it works really well for when I'm making the cards that I would like to make for my kids. I'm cutting that bow out of the dark blue and then again out of the light blue. And I also cut here, those are the little eyeballs and the nose. I cut them out of brown, but then I also cut them out of pink so that I could have little, well, that pinkish purple color, like, so I could have little noses. And then, I mean, for the most part, it's just leaves and flowers. That was the original idea that I had in my head, was like, oh, this would be so cute for like, you know, the little leaves and flowers. And then the bow tie is for my boy bunny. Here, this is, I used this in another video, and I had said in that video, like, hey, I used this double-sided adhesive in a card, but you just haven't seen it yet. This is the, hello, this is the card. Cards, plural. But anyway, so I did a video recently using those and showing like how to make 4 cards with 0 waste. So I'll link that at the end if you're interested in that. But basically these are just double-sided adhesive sheets. So I am going to peel off one side of the backer and I am going to fold it over. So then that way I can line it up with one of my bunnies, like one of my front of my bunny card. I'm going to press that in place, and then I'm going to use my Trinity, did they call this a bone folder? I'm not sure. It's basically what it is. And then I'm going to like burnish the adhesive down, and then I'm just going to kind of work slowly. I'm going to peel that up a little bit, and then I'm just going to burnish as I go. And this is going to create a glued surface that's tacky all over, that my felt is going to be able to adhere to really well, and it will be glued from top to bottom, and I won't have to worry about any like lumps, bumps, liquid glue, anything like that. And then I'm going to use the other side to do the front of the other card. So watch how easy this one goes. You guys know I keep it real around here. So this one goes pretty easy. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to get that backer piece peeled, and then I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to line up my little bottom of my bunny, my little bunny tushy. Just like I did before when I was adhering the adhesive sheet. I'm going to press that down, and then I'm going to burnish my felt to that adhesive, and then I will peel it and burnish as I go. Now you do want to keep watching to make sure that your felt is lining up with where your, like the side of your bunny is. And I could see as I was approaching the head that the head wasn't going to line up perfectly. So I just went in and kind of pulled it back so that I could get it lined up with the head, and then that way I could go back in, just kind of push that back down, and then continue working my way up. When I got to the ears, I did the same thing where I just made sure that, you know, I kind of like pulled it back and that they were lining up. If you have too much trouble with it, you can always remove the backer piece in its entirety, and you'll see that I do that here, where I'm just going to line it up and then press it down. The reason that we do the burnishing as we go is so that we don't get bubbles underneath the felt, and that everything is sticking where it needs to go. Now this one, that was the first one that I did, and you can see, like I said, I thought I had a little bit of stretching because the ears are hanging over. I do have just a little bit of white showing through because I have brown glued to white cardstock. So I did go with a matching alcohol marker and just kind of go around the edges. In hindsight, if I had to do it all over again, I would have done the marker first around the edges and then put my adhesive on and then put my felt on. This is sped up for your viewing pleasure because this is how the second one went. Okay, so the first one was pretty flawless. I really didn't have any issues. The second one is not going to be so gracious. The second one is going to give me problems. And it's important to leave these things in because if you are a person who is, you're doing a felt card or not, like maybe you're just doing a shaped card and you want to use the adhesive trick. I could not get this adhesive to line up with my bunny any way possible. So I ended up just having to put it down, and you'll see my little kid's hands in here in a second. I ended up just having to put it down, and it did give me a little bit of a bubble. I just pressed that down, and then in my frustration, I was like, just peeled off the backer, and I was like, no, girl, you need that backer for the next part. So now here, when I'm lining this up, here's where I think I went wrong. I don't think that I lined up the bottom properly. I think the round part of my bunny was not lined up on the bottom correctly. So then it was giving me a host of problems going forward. So here you can see I had to pull it all back off and then start again. And then I ended up having to just pull the ears forward. This one does have a little bit more gapping in between where the where the felt is and where the white is. So again, if I had to do it over again, I would have colored the edges before I put on my adhesive. But nonetheless, it ended up working out fine. So here I'm just going to fold this over, and then I'm going to use that bone folder to burnish the edges to make sure everything stays closed. So now we have 2 felt bunny cards, which are totally adorable, and you could absolutely leave like this. Or you could decorate them another, like a less way. I'll show you at the end. So here, this bow is from that Easter basket die set that I told you I forgot to show. And so what I'm doing here is I'm going to layer it because it's going to be the only decoration on our bunny. So I wanted to make it a little bit more dynamic. So I'm trimming the top piece. I'm trimming the bottom, like at an angle, like a little rounded piece, and then to make it match, I'm going to use that same piece as a guide on the other side, and then that way I'll have a dark, like the bow that's folded over at the bottom, like I'll have a dark section and then a lighter section to make it just a little bit more interesting. And then for the tails, I'm going to cut them the lighter pieces like kind of up the center so that I have a top piece with the lighter blue and then a bottom piece with the darker blue. And I'm going to do that for both sides because again, this is the only thing that we have going on. I also think if you didn't want to do like a bow tie, you could also do this like a little bunny bow in their hair, like in their ear, and to make it a little girl bunny without all of like the flowers and stuff. So I do think that would be another option if you wanted something a little simpler. You may notice we are not using our usual adhesive for this. We are using a hot glue gun. I am a woman of many hobbies. Surely as crafters, you can relate. I have a lot of different things that I have dabbled in over the years. And so I do have I have a little mini hot glue gun. And that is what I'm using here. I typically do not use hot glue, unless I absolutely have to because of all of the strings. Am I the only one that gets driven crazy by all of the little glue strings? Drives me wild. But this is the best way to like hold these on here. You can use regular regular liquid adhesive and stuff. It just takes a little bit longer to dry. This is pretty, like the hold's pretty immediate, and once it's cooled down, it's good to go. And so I figured it would be going to be the best way. Alternatively, you could probably also stitch this together. If you were, you know what I mean? If you didn't want to have to use the hot glue, you could probably stitch them down, and then you would just need to put a backer piece behind. Like I would do all of my stitching on my felt before I glued it to my card base. Here, I didn't have black felt. but I couldn't do brown eyes on brown bunnies because then you wouldn't be able to see it. So what I ended up doing was just using my alcohol markers to color his eyes black, so that they do pop off of the brown and you can still see them. And then I did that little pinkish purple nose. And then I will do my bunny around, or my little bow around my bunny neck. And he is done until we get to the end. Isn't he adorable? I think he's so cute. Very, very cute. Well, I have to put the eyeballs on. My apologies. So I just use my tweezers for that. One of the most challenging things I went through in putting this together was getting just a little bit of glue down versus a lot of bit of glue down. So I was on the struggle bus with that a little bit. And then those strings driving me crazy. So anyway, normally I do my kids' Easter cards, and then they don't see them until Easter, and I just tuck them into their little Easter basket. But this year, my sneaky little toddler, was supposed to be, was she supposed to be napping? No, maybe she had just come home from daycare. Like my husband had picked her up. It probably was it. Because on Fridays is the only, that's the day that he picks her up. So that's the day that I have the option to work a little bit later. So I think that's what it was. And so she came right upstairs. She knows she's supposed to wait until she gets clearance, but she came right upstairs into the craft room and I was already making the cards. So so she's already seen them. Here, I didn't want to cut like the little teeny tiny circles out of the darker blue. So I used a little cheat. Again, it's the alcohol markers. This happens to be a Copic marker. You could use a Sharpie or any other brand of alcohol marker you have. And then I just filled in, there's a little dot that's like embossed into the center of these little berries. And so I just used that to add a little bit of color there. And then while I was cutting things up, this larger leaf, I cut into several smaller leaves, which I already knew, that was the game plan from the get-go, that I was never going to use a leaf this big on that little bunny. So then for the flowers, for this like light pink one, I did put in a smaller like purple flower and then go in with the yellow center. So you can layer them up however you would like. I also do want to mention Trinity has like last chance section, which is like 20% off. And so I am using the Garden of Flowers die set, but there is another die set that is included in the clearance set that would work well. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. I'll link it below. But anyway, that one would also work. And it is on, like I said, it's 20% off. Or just whatever other flower dyes you have. Or if you want to cut your own flowers, that would be an option as well. This is just a kind of a fun way to dress up your shaped cards. Oh, it's the wildflower clippings. That is a die set that would also work really, really well for this particular type of design. So then, I'm just going through and putting in the centers. And so here, same thing, brown eyes. I don't have to color them black this time because you can see them. And then a little pink nose. And then I thought this would be so cute to give her like a little flower crown. That was my whole oh, that would be so cute. Once I started cutting the things, once I knew I was going to do felt instead of flock, which by the way, please let me know if you have been crafting long enough to know what flock is, because I know that it kind of waxes and wanes as far as popularity, but I have used it a lot over the years. So anyway, I was building up this little head dress thing, and I thought it was so cute, but tell me, does she not look like the Chiquita banana lady? Stop it. You know that she does, okay? You know that she does look like the Chiquita banana lately. Here, I didn't love the way that this flower looked, so I just popped the center off, and then I put in a smaller, that like pinkish purple flower with the little yellow to layer it, and I did like that much better. I think because it was a darker purple, it was just too much. And then here's where things are going to take a little bit of a turn. So I'm kind of tucking everything in, and I'm getting it the way that I want it to look. But then when I was putting it down, those strings, guys, those little, like, and the too much glue, remember I told you I struggled with like putting out too much glue. So I did the glue, and then like it was too much, and then here I did it, and then the strings fell down, and that was too much. So it ended up changing the shape of her little flower headdress thing. And so I ended up having to add more than I initially wanted to in order to cover up those little glue spots, because here you can see I tried to get it up off my felt, and it did leave a mark. Like, it was very apparent that there was something there that should not have been there. And so, you know, we have to put an embellishment over it. You know how it goes. You're a crafter too. And so it did kind of throw off my balance a little bit, and it ended up making her little flower crown a little bigger than I originally intended it to be. So she definitely was giving Mrs. Chiquita Banana vibes. Which then I had to go make sure that that's who I was thinking of, because I was like, I'm pretty sure that's who I'm thinking of. It's the lady with the fruit on her hat. And then there was a whole thing that I ended up getting sucked down into that was all about, oh, what is her name? Oh, why can't I think of it? What is her name? Okay, I had to stop and I had to go look it up. It's Carmen Miranda, the Brazilian dancer who used to do with the fruit on her head in the movies. And so that is what this is my Carmen Miranda bunny. Which my daughter did love, because since she had already snuck up in there and was in my craft room when she should not have been seeing things that she shouldn't have been seeing, she was like, Mommy, can I have this bunny card? So anyway, once all the everything was put together, here I just die cut out. Here I wanted to show you, this is an extra flower. So see how you could like just do the flower and the little bunny thing if you wanted to make that a little girl bunny. But remember the cardstock that I showed you at the beginning? I'm going to use this for the back so that everything is the same color. And for this, I am going to use liquid adhesive. And then I did use, I think this is, I can't remember if it's Gina K Craft or if it's Nina Desert Storm, but either way, it's a craft colored cardstock, and I used that, and then that is dark chocolate cardstock from Gina K to do the Happy Easter. That set is included in the Squishy Bunny, or that sentiment is included in the Squishy Bunny. So since she doesn't have anything at the bottom, I'm going to put the Happy Easter on her little belly, and then that way it's a little bit more, you know, balance, like, because she has all the Chiquita Banana flowers at the top and she needs something. So here we're going to make some little bunny butts, some little bunny tushes. And so in order to make the little pom-pom, this would work better with yarn, but I am a woman of many hobbies, but I am not a yarn woman. So I've trimmed 2 pieces. This is just DMC floss in white. I've trimmed 2 pieces out that are about 2 inches long, and then I've wrapped it around my fingers a bunch of times. This works better on a fork, by the way. Because I wrapped it a little too tightly and I had a little bit of trouble getting that 2-inch piece of string in between. But basically, you just want to wrap it around 2 things. If you wrap it around a fork, it's a lot easier. And then you're going to tie that 2-inch piece right around the middle. And that's going to give you 2 loops. One loop on each side. That's multiple pieces of floss. And then I'm going to double knot it to make sure it doesn't come out. And then I will cut the loops, and that's going to give me very fuzzy sides. And then it doesn't matter that it looks crazy right now, because we're going to shape it. So once I missed a loop, you want to cut all the loops so they're all like frayed edges. Again, this works better with yarn to make a pom-pom. but then I'm going to kind of fluff them up. I'm going to hold the middle bottom, and then I'm going to fold all the pieces forward, and then I'm going to trim them in like a half circle, just to help get them to be a little bit more uniform. And then that way I can fluff them up from there, okay, and spread them out. And this is going to be my little tail on my bunny. So I'm going to put down a healthy dollop of glue, and then I'm just going to smush it. I'm holding all the pieces upright while I'm doing it. Smush it down into the glue, and then that way I can mess around with the fuzzy pieces from my little bunny tushy, my little bunny tail. And I'm going to do that on both of them. So if you didn't want to do all the decorations that we did, you could just do them as the back of the bunny, and they would still be very adorable. So here we have one little boy bunny with a bow tie and a cute little fuzzy tush. And then we have our Chiquita banana bunny with, again, another little fuzzy tush. I hope that this inspires you guys to maybe play around with some felt and some shaped cards. I hope that you have a blessed Easter. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.